Ruby's cellmate speaks up again, and apparently she is now confirming that these two are lovers or something weird is going on here, and she's spilling all kinds of information. Guys, make sure and click the plus sign because I'm going to have more on this and keep you up to date. Sound off in the comments. Tell me what you think. But I wanted to pull this up because I had a video before. You can go check it out on my channel where I talked about a cellmate speaking up and giving information, including in the cell. She was very worried about one of her children, Russell, not being around the other children. And at that time, we didn't know yet, but she was going to come out with the allegations in court saying that one of her children was an SA'er. So let's take a look at this and see what more she has to say about their weird relationship and what's really going on with these two. Take a look. A woman in jail with Ruby Franke said she seemed smitten with Jodi Hildebrandt and she was upset they didn't share a cell. It says a woman who shared a cell with Ruby Franke for 3 nights said Franke seemed fixated on her YouTube partner Jodi Hildebrandt and complained that they were held separately from one another. Deborah Monson, 52, spoke with Insider about her stint in the custody of Washington County Sheriff's Office in Utah at the same time as Franke and Hildebrandt. Monson was arrested on August 31st on allegations of petty theft and possession of substances, she told Insider. She is innocent and will fight the charges. She was booked the same day after Franke and Hildebrandt were arrested on suspicion of aggravated child abuse. Monson said she had no idea who they were at the time and only realized that after she left, her family was talking about them on the drive home. Monson described both Franke and Hildebrandt as really tight-lipped, but said she had a lot of time to observe how Franke behaved. Most notably, she seemed distressed that she and Hildebrandt had been separated. She said, "God, how long are they going to keep us in here? And why did they separate me and Jodi?" Monson said. She said, "I can't understand why they separated me and my friend." Franke was really concerned about Hildebrandt, she said, and wanted to see her, wanted to talk to her. Monson said Franke was interested after she let her know that she was briefly held alongside Hildebrandt. She's like, "Oh, what did she say? How did she act? Did she say anything at all?" she said, and described Franke as almost childlike in her manner and almost smitten with Hildebrandt. Monson told Franke that Hildebrandt seemed pretty distraught and didn't want to talk about anything at all. Jodi had obviously been crying a lot, Monson said of her time with Hildebrandt. Her eyes were really red and swollen and kind of squinting. You could hardly see her eyes, and she looked very distressed. She said she asked Hildebrandt why she was in jail, and Hildebrandt looked at her with not a smile, not a frown, but a straight face and said, "I'd rather not say." I said, "Okay, I apologize. I wasn't trying to invade your privacy," Monson said. And that was everything that was said between us. Monson said Franke reacted to her account by saying, "That's what I thought she would be like." Monson said Franke also played mother hen to another woman in their cell, who Franke believed was going through withdrawal of substances. Franke was tucking the blankets under her and mothering her, nurturing her, Monson said. Franke also carried a Bible with her, and a lot of the time she kept holding it to her chest and she closed her eyes, Monson said. At one point, Monson said she saw Franke crying. When she asked her what was wrong, Franke said, "I just miss my kids." Monson said she doubted Franke's sincerity, though, saying her emotions seemed to have no depth and that she seemed completely narcissistic. The Franke's kids were taken into care after the arrest, and the courts have kept the details of their care since confidential, citing the children's need for privacy. So I don't think any of this sounds surprising in regards to this situation. I'm wondering if there's an actual physical interview, so I'll have to look it up to see if this woman is filmed or if she's going to talk more. But really interesting. I mean, all of us have been speculating what was really going on between these two because of how close they were. And there are a few things I want to mention. First of all, Jodi crying a lot, and Jodi says she doesn't want to say why she's in prison. I think that's because Jodi, to me, and I'm not diagnosing anybody, but she seems to have a lot of psychopathic traits. And in that, Jodi is going to go in there more with the mindset of protecting herself. She's probably upset at the fact that she doesn't have her comforts. She's mourning the things that she's lost right now. She probably understands to some degree, maybe not fully, but at least at that point, what a big situation this was going to be, especially in the media. And she knows, because she's, remember, self-preservation for these. They're looking out for a number one all the time. She knows that people who are in jail for what she is accused of don't fare very well. So it makes sense that she's going to be tight-lipped and real pouty and moody just to herself, where this one, for me, has more narcissistic traits. Even though they're both probably narcissists, I'm saying narcissism and more traits of what look like sociopathy to me drive this one. So I think we're going to see her open up a little bit more, doing more, like she was playing mother hen to somebody. Also, I do think Ruby does have, this is the other thing. People like this aren't fully monsters in the sense of, yes, what they've done is awful, but there's all different types of shades. There's not just black and white, there's gray. She is still a mother, even though she's not a good one, and she still probably has some care, compassion, concern, some feelings for people. And even if not feelings, if she saw somebody suffering just because she's bored or because it's something to do or maybe it looks good, she may go over and help that person. Remember, there are all types of gray areas when it comes to dealing with people like this, which is one of the reasons why dealing with all different types of people who are abusive can be very challenging and very difficult. A lot of times they are being fully manipulative, but sometimes they're actually expressing more human stuff. And it's really hard to be able to tell what's what in the situation. Something that I find interesting is if it comes out that these two were lovers in any capacity, I feel like it completely blows, how do I put this? It completely blows the teachings of Hildebrandt out the water. Now, to any sane, rational people who look at her teachings and look at what's happened, of course they're awful. I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying anybody who ever followed them or could look at following them in the way she taught, you have to see it's BS. Because the Mormon church was heavily pushing her as a right-armed man for a while and trying to rehabilitate people. But aren't they so against the LGBT? And this is another thing. So her saying about Russell being an SA'er, my concern for this, and I wonder what's going to happen with this. When she says SA and she's like, oh, they were playing a padding game. And I put up a video about this and I got a lot of pushback, but I want to explain this a little bit. My concern is what she is calling SA is nothing. What if her calling SA is the fact that maybe Russell is LGBT, somewhere on the spectrum? And I think most people are in general, even a little bit, right? Like I've talked about myself, like I am somewhat on that spectrum in terms of I could not have physical intimacy forever and I could just not care. I'm being very careful in what I word with YouTube. And so my question is it possible it could have been something as simple and harmless as the fact that to them, maybe Russell was showing signs of being LGBT, not even saying he was, and that they were going to go this hard and saying what a horrible person he was and trying to conflate anything he did with that. And you might think that's extreme, but guys, you got to remember what she's accusing her child of, and what I'm doing is just trying to defend them right now. The accusations are out there, and the things are out there because of their mother. I am just trying to be a voice that defends them. So I think it's going to be interesting if it comes out that they were in a relationship. Then what does that mean for all of these teachings and the Mormon church pushing it? Aside from what it already means, I don't know. What do you guys think about this? I've got a lot more coming, so sound off in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. I love hearing you guys' takes on this. And click the plus sign because I've got more coming.